Hello everybody. The generic elective paper being offered by Zoology Department of Kirodimal College is named Human Physiology. So in this short video, we will be looking at why should we elect Human Physiology as a GE paper? What are the benefits of studying this paper? And what are the objectives? What are the topics which are going to be covered in this paper? So let's see how this is going to happen. So yeah, I'm Dr. Jani, and this is some of the faculties you will be looking at, you'll be visiting at, and talking to, interacting to when you will be there in zoology department. So the first person in green is me, and the guy in between with in the blue shirt, the dark blue shirt is Amit Singh sir. So me and Amit sir will be taking the generic elective paper. So, what is the actual agenda of our study? It is about how good we become in problem solving techniques, right? So, problems can be solved when you have the first and foremost thing is you must have the knowledge and then the implementation ability of that knowledge and the scientific temperament to understand the question and come to a logical explanation of it by making some hypothesis, then doing some experiments and coming down to the theory part of it. This is how we solve any problem. So we all know this story, right? How a crow was able to drink water out of a pot, or and I mean, this is a very it is a scientific temperament of it's the animal that it was able to evaluate that how can uh, the water which is there in the pot can be brought up to be able so that he can be able to drink that water. So this is called scientific temperament, which is not limited to certain subject students, but the temperament is to be created. That temperament is to be nurtured so that you can become a problem solver in your real life. So we all know this story too, Archimedes' story, where he was able to find out that when a substance, when an element or a thing is inserted or dipped into water, some amount of water is displaced, and the amount of water displaced is equal to the weight of that object or thing which has been dipped into water. This is a common observation we do day to day, but he was able to take it in a scientific way, take it into, we all know this thing from early childhood, but he was able to understand, take it in a very scientific perspective. So we know that tools and techniques have been being used by humans from lot from more than the time we found fire, even more than even before that. But yeah, tools are not just being used by humans as gradually science is evolving and understanding. So we are witnessing different things. But the question comes down to again is that when an animal is using a tool to this break this nut apart, what are the tools being used inside us for doing so many plethora, so such a huge types of things we do think, and how do we do that? What are the tools there which are inside us? So yeah, let's see one more thing of scientific temperament. If we look at, we all know vapor, when it really when water starts to boil, the lid of it, or we know the pressure cooker, how does it act? Like vapor is there, it puts pressure on the um, the whole vessel, and the vessel is compelled to whistle with that pressure. But there was a scientist who was able to correlate it that something big can be invented out of this very simple observation which we do in day-to-day life. And he was able to evaluate that power of steam, and he was able to create a steam engine, which was actually the center point of the whole industrial revolution which happened, and was a milestone in that revolution to occur. So how to become this level of scientifically enlightened? So what are the learning outcomes which we are expecting that you will be able to do during the course as well as after the completion of the course. You will be able to, the first thing which we expect is that you will be able to understand the principles, of basic biological functions which are happening, like how do we respire, like how our heart works, like how do we how are we able to purify the blood, how do kidney functions, and what are the different kind of tissues which are there in our body. So basic biological functions. Then you must be able to correlate the human physiology, the principles you studied, with the histological structures. It means that if you're looking at a structure which looks like neuron, you must be able to correlate that it must be a tissue from the brain, or there is a nephron like a structure, then it must be from kidneys, or there are very thin epithelial tissues, it must be, or it may be lungs. So that correlation, the ability to correlate the physiology. Then at last, you must be able to understand how do animals react to not just what is happening inside the body, also to the external stimuli. That means how do they change with the external environment, how do they react to the external environment. You will be studying that. Then this is the syllabus of your GE paper, that is divided into several units. So first is tissues, which will be like what are the different type of tissues which are there in a body. Then functioning of excitable tissues, which are nerves and muscles. Then digestion and absorption of food, especially all different kind of parts of foods, which are carbohydrate, fats, and proteins. Then respiratory physiology, how do our lungs function, how do we respire, the external and the internal respiration, how does oxygen gets in the body and how carbon dioxide gets out of the body. Then the cardiovascular system, what is the structure of heart, how does our cardiac cycle functions, what is the composition of our blood. Then the renal physiology, the functional aspects of kidney. And reproductive physiology, that how is reproduction happening, what are the structures of male and female reproductive systems. So these are some things you will be looking at in detail. The reproductive physiology, digestive system, what are the neurons, how do messages go and come out of your brain. When a spider sits onto your leg, how do you know how to react, and how is that happening in fractions of seconds. So that means one neuron is interacting with another neuron, and that is interacting in response to another neuron, and things are going really quick. So you'll be knowing at those synapses where two neurons meet and interact. So we'll be knowing about that. So coming back to your syllabus, this is the whole GE paper consists of these 7 units, and you can look at the hours which is being dedicated towards it. You can the bracket which is there. So this is the whole syllabus of your GE1 paper. But again, how we were initially talking about problem solving and everything. So how to come down to that? So what is the scientific temperament we are talking about? That when you see a problem, you formulate a hypothesis. Then hypothesis is, validated on the basis of some experiments. The experiments either pass or the experiment fail. So in either of the cases, you draw conclusion that this thing is working, this thing is not working. Then if not working, you go on and on finding new ways to make things work and all that, and then you come down to one certain theory that this thing or your idea is true, your idea is not true, or it may work in whatever. You come from hypothesis to a theory. In between, what is important is experiments. So yeah, there is a lot of experimental section in a GE paper, which is very interesting. You will be looking at your own physiology, your own blood count, your own leukocyte count, your own physiological systems. You will be understanding how things are functioning, and you have to do several kind of experiments. So we'll be looking at, and you will be actually evaluating yourself on the basis of how good you are in problem solving skills. So when a problem comes in real life also, in real life too, what we do is, from where did this problem come? who is responsible for the problem, how can it be sorted, when it will be sorted, whom are to be included, which, what, why. These are the all questions which arises when a problem comes. So these all things are going to be implemented in your practical part of this GE paper. The practical component is of several kinds of mounts of neurons and blood cells, then preparation of crystals of blood, then understanding what is the composition of your blood, what are the different type of cells which are there in the blood by uh, uh, it, again understanding your blood group, which blood group you belong to, your blood pressure measurement, how do we measure the blood pressure, and different kind of slides we'll be looking at.